What's up guys, Alberto Big Boost here. Today we're going to be working on the 2JC again. You can see I have a bunch of the covers on. I've been like mocking everything up since I really don't have anything else to do with the engine. But also check fitment with all the parts that I already have. Today we're going to take the top apart again and we're going to install the Super Tech lifters that arrived today. I have to come up with a solution for the valve cover paint as well, since these are like old chipped wrinkle black coated. I want to either paint them black or maybe purple to match the car. But the problem is I have a green belt, then I'm gonna have a blue timing belt. I don't know if purple valve covers on top of that's gonna look very good. Engine is disassembled. I got nothing but the factory lifters in there. Then moving on to this side, we have everything scattered all over the table. And here I have the Super Tech solid lifters. They come in this nice packaging, so you have all the buckets that are all the same, and then you have the individual shims they're gonna put in each bucket to make it into the correct length. And they even supply with their own assembly grease. I made this grid down here, so I have exhaust and intake. I'm gonna place all the buckets numerically, and then I'm gonna put the correct shims based on the graph that I made. On this graph you can tell the bucket size, the correct lash that we need on each valve, and then the shim that's needed. So it's like I converted everything from inch to metric, so you can use it with both formulas and get the right size. This is a very interesting recommendation. Kind of makes sense. You put a little bit of oil in the bucket, then put the shim, so it kind of like sticks on there. I unwrapped all the lifters from the packaging. Now we have this all set up here, so I'm gonna have to start by adding a little drop of oil into each bucket and then put the correct shim into place. I went ahead and laid down all the shims in their corresponding numbers, but I am missing a couple other sizes that are gonna be arriving in the mail later on. So let's go ahead and install these, and then I'm gonna take our first shim and gently place it onto the bucket. Press it, make sure it sits straight. We're good. Now the grease will hold it in place, it won't fall off. Apply a little bit of grease to the outside of the bucket itself too. And of course the top. It's gonna be all lubricated like this. Then we're gonna go down to the head and place the bucket in place, and one done. After I repeat the process with the rest, I'm gonna put the cams back in and check the valve lash to see if my numbers were correct. New buckets are in place. I got 1, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, and 12 on the exhaust side. And then on the intake side, I have 2, I have 5, and 7. Now I put the camshafts back in and measure the lash. Alright, moment of truth. I have this valve is right here on the recess state. Now we're gonna get our 010 feeler gauge and we're gonna test. It fits. Now let's try 011. And it does not fit. So we have 010 on the exhaust, which is exactly the size that we were looking for, so the calculations are correct. I modified the exhaust side valve cover to fit the GE head. On the VVTi head, for some reason, I don't have the other little hole right here, so I had to cut this lobe out of here and weld it over here, then sand it, kind of like blend it in. Now I have this ready for powder coating. This is really cool. The guy who had these covers before me did a really nice job tapping these for the fittings. Very well done. So I'm still debating if I should do black or should I do purple valve covers. The Super Tech shims only come in 0.5 increments. So I got 1.95, 2.00, and 2.10. Then here are the specs that I need. So I need 203, so then instead of 203, this one's gonna be 2.00. The 198 is gonna be 195. This one stays the same. And the 213 is gonna be 210. I guess now we can finally install the camshafts for the last time, torque everything down. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you the procedure. First you apply a little bit of lubricant where the camshaft goes. Then of course we grab camshafts, gently, without looking at the camera, place the camshaft onto the head. Apply more lubricant. Then we install the bearing cam caps. And then we're gonna torque the head to 14 foot-pounds. So that's the torque that all the cam caps are gonna go to, minus the two little bolts that go on the #1 intake cam cap. Now I can put the cam cap on without the cover, of course, because I just want to be able to rotate the cam and check the valve latch on each valve. Valve latch is finally set. On exhaust I got almost everything to spec, minus one valve on number 6 I got 011, but if I went the next size it will get too small. And then on the intake I had to do 3 runs, so this is the first run. Then I made some adjustments on the second one and further adjustments on the third. So I got range from 007, and then everything pretty much here is good, and then 11 and 12 are 009, which is still within spec. The clearances on the intake are from 006 to 010, and the exhaust is from 010 to 014. So we're golden. Now that I have all the valve latch ready, it's time to install the front cam caps with silicone. So you have to put a little dab, really tiny film on this area. So and the same thing on the other side, so both corners. And then I like to put the seal now and put it flush. Then seal the cap over the seal. Then it's a lot easier to put on than just like tapping it in place. Cam seals, I'm gonna use OEM Toyota ones, so these are the part numbers. And then I'm gonna put a little bit of dielectric grease on the cam seals to lube them up. And I also have a new seal. I forgot what the part number for this is, but it's a new seal for the BVT plug right here in the front. So this one is the front main cap. You can see There's part where lubricant should be, which is here. There's a groove here, and then on the other side of the groove, on this flat part right here, you can put a little bit of silicone film. When you're greasing the cam seal, only lubed up the inside lip. Same thing on this side, you just pack a little bit of grease on this groove right here. Do not put grease on the outside edge of the seal. This is the ideal amount of silicone that you want to put on the cap. Now I'm going to install the cam seal. So you see, like this way is like so much easier to just slide it in place. That's flush. Now we install the cam cap right above. Same thing on the other side. Then we install the bolts and torque these to 14 foot-pounds. Now you'll see there's a little leftover, so just go and just wipe it off with your thumb, and it has a professional look. There's a little bit on the side over here as well. Done. Next is the back timing cover. It's a good time to also make sure to clean this up. It looks good. I also went ahead and cleaned every single bolt of this engine, so it looks like brand new. I'm gonna tighten these cover bolts to 78 inches. That's about 7 foot-pounds. Now we can mount the camshaft sprockets. It's on a nice Briancrower adjustable cam sprocket, along with the Briancrower sprocket bolt. I'm not gonna tighten these yet. I'm just gonna line them up to top dead center. You pretty much line up the mark with this little notch right here on the cover. Then the intake side, it has a smaller pin, but it's pretty easy to locate as well. When I rotate it, then you can wiggle this one a little bit. That's normal. Then the bolt for this one is gonna be 10mm Allen. Same thing, I'm not gonna torque this one yet. I'm gonna install the timing belt later, and then I can torque these, since that way it doesn't jump timing by mistake or anything and do anything bad to the engine. We're gonna go ahead and bring this to top the center as well. So lining up this mark right here with the notch here. Notice that there's also a dot on the sprocket. Do not use the dot, use the line. So you got line, line, and then also On the crankshaft sprocket, you're gonna use a line which lines up with this dot on the back. You'll notice there's a dot on the front here. You're not gonna use that dot unless you could align dot with dot and dot over here on the stock pulley, but we're gonna be using lines, lines, and lines. Trust me, I did that mistake one time and I couldn't tell what was wrong with the engine, and then I put dot with line, and then that's why I messed it up. So just use the lines. Now for the timing tensioner, I've been saving this guy for a very long time, maybe like 4 years now. I finally get to use it. So I have this steel upgraded timing belt bracket instead of using the factory aluminum one. On this, you just take apart the bearing. You have the bolt goes through the back side of this pulley, or bracket I mean. Then you slide bearing over. Then you have a lock washer and then the nut. You torque the nut to 15 foot-pounds, then the bolt that slides on the tensioner goes torqued to 19 foot-pounds. Also be sure to grease this cylinder here, that way it's able to move frictionless. Since the hole where this tensioner goes all the way through the timing cover or the oil pump, I'm gonna use a little bit of blue thread locker on the threads, that way it helps seal that threads on there. Also keeping the bolt from backing out as well with vibrations. Just gonna put a little dab blue thread locker on the beginning of the thread, and that should be enough. Now we torque this to 19 foot-pounds. Now the timing belt can go on. I like to put the logo facing the top just for aesthetics. You don't have to do that, it doesn't make a difference, but I just like doing that. Start again. First, put it on the crank. Then we stretch the intake side over the pulley. Then, keeping it straight, line it up over the exhaust cam. And then lastly, you slide it over the tensioner. Now you can just push everything down. Small correction, this bolt here for the pulley, for the idler pulley, goes to 25, not 19. Alright, now at this point we can go ahead and install timing belt hydraulic tensioner itself. And then these bolts are gonna go torque to 19 foot-pounds. Timing is set. Now we can go ahead and just pull the pin. Timing is locked in place. Now we can spin the engine, whatever, and it won't jump timing. But I'm gonna take this opportunity to torque the cam gears now. Almost forgot about this little guy. You have to install this. This goes all the way down here. It's a little like timing belt plate. Then this bolt is gonna be torqued to 68 inches. These little guys back here go torque to 8 Newton meters. Go ahead and torque this. I was having the hardest time looking at those specs. Then, now that I finally have all the cam caps done, I can move on to the cam pulley torque. I'm going to use an adjustable wrench to hold the camshafts from moving. And with the other hand, I'm going to torque this to 59 foot-pounds. Then I'm gonna repeat the process on the intake cam. Now I put a new camshaft cap seal onto the plug. I put a little bit of grease onto this to lubricate the O-ring. Then we screw this on to the cam pulley. Then we're gonna torque this plug to 12 foot-pounds. This is a 14 hex socket. And we're done with the timing. Now it's time to put the covers back on. Alright, time to install a new cover back on. Oh wait, almost forgot this little guy. Gonna slide this diamond belt plate here. Now we can put on the cover. Also clean up all the bolts for this guy so it looks new. What's up with my flashlight? It keeps like alternating brightness. I think it's about to die anytime soon. Then these bolts are also going to be torqued to 68 inches. Now I can slide balancer pulley, put the new bolt. I am not gonna torque the bolt today since I might need somebody to hold the crankshaft with a pry bar on the back. I'm just gonna put this on by hand and then tomorrow I'll tighten that. Next we got serpentine tensioner. This one, since it's 12mm bolts, it's gonna be about 15 foot-pounds. I don't know the exact specs, but that's what I will torque these to. What? Actually, this one's go to 20. So 20 foot-pounds on these 3 bolts. Now goes on the metal timing cover. And this one has 3 like 5mm hex bolts. These ones are also going to be torqued to 68 inches. It's really nice to have a ball tip Allen for this, so you can get like on the angle ones with ease. Now that's tight. I can torque this to spec. Next comes the water pump pulley. I don't know the exact torque specs for these guys. Then again, I'm assuming it's gonna be somewhere between 15, 20 pounds. Normally just hit this with the gun. Well, obviously the little impact gun, not the big gun. So it's gonna put about 20, 25 pounds on them. Now we can install the beautiful green serpentine belt. Use a 14mm socket with this. Then crank on this, slide the belt over, and we're done. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the same video or not, but if you're wondering about this belt, here's a part number. If you want to get one of these really cool green belts for your serpentine, if you are deleting the AC, this will not work if you have AC. The last thing I have for you today is the BBTI solenoid. This lights pretty much right here. Oh wait, and then tick. Now this little tiny bolt is very fragile. I don't even know what to torque this to. Maybe like 2 pounds, or just like snug it with my fingers. I am not even gonna torque this. I'm just gonna like grab a wrench and gently just put a little bit of pressure on it, and that should be good. The engine now is gonna get a little simplified to put the transmission and everything on. So then we can install the engine in the car on the next video. So that's it. I'm stopping this video now. It's been too long, a lot of numbers, everything. Let's move on to the next fun video with the engine installation on the E36.